Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 2024 Graduate Fellowship Conference. We're delighted to recognize this as our 12th annual conference, and we want to thank you all so much for taking the time to be here today. We have a full schedule ahead of us, so I will be brief, but I did want to touch on just a few things. First, we're lucky enough to be in this beautiful venue again this year, thanks to the hospitality of one of our advisors, Vice Admiral Muret. So I want to give a big thank you to him for hosting us here. I also was going to mention that we have our board president, Tori Clark, here, but I think she might have actually just stepped out. But she was here and she will be back later. And I know she looks forward to getting a chance to connect with all of you. Oh, there she is. There is Tori, our fearless leader. We also want to acknowledge that we have several members of our newest cohort of 2024 fellows here today. So you'll be able to recognize them. Their name tags are in blue as opposed to black, so easy targets. So please, for our alumni, if you see someone with a blue name tag and you haven't had a chance to meet them yet, introduce yourselves, and we hope you'll have a chance to connect with them. Really glad they could all be here today, so welcome to you all. We also want to mention we have all 6 members of our new Alumni Leadership Council here with us today. You'll have a chance to hear directly from them a bit later this afternoon. They'll be providing a briefing on what's been going on in the program and the network, so we look forward to hearing from them later. And we also want to acknowledge our other advisors that are here today. As you know, they're such an important part of this program in that they nominate you all to take part in this fellowship. And we are really grateful for the role that they play and thank them for taking the time to be here with us too. And last but certainly not least, I need to recognize our terrific team, who most of you know quite well at this point. We have Bridget, our Director of Programs. And Evelyn, who's the Program Manager for this particular program. And then do we have Tom in here? Or is he hiding in the hallway? Okay. Also, Tom deserves a round of applause. Our newest member, Tom. At this conference last year, he had just started about a month prior. So he's made it through to his second one. But we're lucky to have him on the team. He's been a great addition. A few housekeeping items. All the events this afternoon will be right here on the second floor. So the breakout sessions will be in these rooms just along this hallway, and we'll be happy to direct you to each session you should be in. Speaking of, when you received your folder this morning, on the left-hand side of your folder, there's information sheets about the breakout sessions that you are scheduled to attend. So please feel free to refer to that to find out where you should be going. Any confusion, feel free to just find someone on our team and we'll be happy to point you in the right direction. And last, before turning the floor over to our next speaker, I did just want to take a minute to remember the individual that is the reason that we're all here together today, Secretary Rumsfeld. In the time since his passing, as we come up to this convening each year, he's always very present in my mind and our team's mind. And I do just want to say that I know he would really appreciate that amidst your many, many commitments that you took the time to be here today. I know it would mean a lot to him. And he would also be incredibly energized and impressed by all of the important things that you guys are doing in your professional and personal lives. His hope was that people that were granted these fellowships would go on to do important things for our nation, both in government service and outside of it. And I think the group gathered here today is a testament that you all are doing just that. So thank you for all you're doing. And I know he would be really happy to see all that you're doing. And with that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Dr. Ben Judge, who is a member of our Alumni Leadership Council, and he is going to provide some welcoming remarks. Thank you all.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. There aren't a lot of foundations that have a whole staff that are such great partisans for the foundation's namesake. So just thank you for everything you all do and that the board does to maintain his legacy. I will just say, speaking of legacy, thank God new people didn't have blue name tags when he was around. That would have been some fun hazing. Uh, yeah. So this is the 12th alumni conference. Uh, it's but the number that sticks in my mind is it's the fourth without him. I'm, as Sarah mentioned, I'm on the alumni council. You're going to hear about that later today, and ways to get involved. But one way to get involved is, if you have one, share a story about Secretary Rumsfeld, especially with the people with blue name tags, which actually makes me think, how many people here had the pleasure of meeting Secretary Rumsfeld? Raise your hands. Okay, so those are the people you can ask questions from and look for stories from. So I actually thought I'd share a story. It's actually the first time that I met Secretary Rumsfeld, and I didn't know I was going to. It was summer of 2006. I was interning in the city, and this other intern comes up to me and she says, "Some people are getting together. Would you like to come hang out?" And I said, "Yes." And then she said, "Okay, but just don't tell anyone because it's at Kaylee's grandparents' house." And I was just actually kind of happy that she was talking to me. So I didn't ask some basic follow-up questions like, why is Kaylee's grandparents' house a secret? And probably more importantly, who's Kaylee? So we get to the house, and she says to me, "Well, I think we can just walk in." And I said, "Oh, her grandparents aren't home." And a girl I was with said, "No, I'm sure her granddad is still working." And I turned to her and I said, "Oh, what does her granddad do?" And she looked at me like I was a complete idiot and said, "He's Don Rumsfeld." And so we go in. I'm now nervous because I'm sitting in his house. And, we're sitting there, we're all having a nice time. And then all of a sudden you hear the door open. My back's to the door. And you hear these feet. And then all of a sudden you hear, "Well, hello." You turn around and it's him. But he said it in the most endearing and disarming way. I always think about that because I didn't meet Don Rumsfeld. I didn't meet Congressman, Chief of Staff, at the time Secretary of Defense. I just met a granddad. And, as far as I can tell, Secretary Rumsfeld had two loves, his family and his country. That was his center. Everything he did, everything he said, everything he risked was in pursuit of those twin pillars of American happiness. This community prides itself on its diversity of employment, interests, and certainly in these times, political affiliation. And in times like these, it would be very easy to let those differences indicate that we have not much in common, that we can't actually learn from someone with who we disagree. Secretary Rumsfeld didn't believe that because he had a center. How did that center manifest itself? I've heard stories from others about him having an absolute brawl with a political opponent or just someone he had a disagreement with, and then asking that same person for advice a minute later. But I don't have that kind of story. The time that I saw Secretary Rumsfeld hold the center was when, after a 16-hour day in the middle of arguably the lowest point in the Iraq War, I saw the complete joy of a grandfather checking in on his granddaughter and meeting her friends. So I look forward to a great day of discussion, maybe even some argument. comparing career notes, and just hearing about all the cool things everyone's doing in their lives. So thanks, and look forward to the rest of the day.
Thank you so much, Ben. We're going to move right into our next panel. So we'll invite the panelists up. And once they're settled, I'll turn it over to our moderator to kick it off. Thank you.